We're here in Calumet in Canadian County, and I have one of my about-to-be master gardeners went through the class last year. This is Daniel Pugh and his place, and I'm going to let him talk a little bit about some of the features that he wants to tell us about in his garden.
Well, we built the home about 14 years ago, and it's 5 acres here on kind of a hilltop prairie land, and it was nothing but Johnson grass, and of course we wanted to get rid of that. We started out with a lot of Bermuda grass for a lawn, and we got tired of that, and we started to put in little raised gardens here and there, and we just kept expanding. The soil is horrible, of course. The clay took us several years to continually, modify it and bring it to where plants would grow. So we started out with a lot of xeric plants, like the salvias and the agastax, and pretty soon the soil became good enough to where we just started putting in ground cover. The ground cover took off, and everything's looking pretty nice now.
I see you have some decorative stonework out here, flagstone. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Well, originally when we had the raised beds, we had still the Bermuda grass, and I always had to mow around it, and I thought a pathway would be nice. And I noticed there'd be these big intersections, and it just didn't seem to be lively enough, to complement the rest of the plants. And so I thought I'd try to take some flagstone and make some stone critters that of course we love out here. There's praying mantis here, we have a turtle and a butterfly, a horse, a ladybug, and we just think it's a fun addition to the gardens.
Can you tell me a little bit about the desert willows out here?
Well, of course they're great performers, and they're xeric. So that's a benefit there. And we just planted a couple of them there in the middle bed, and the others volunteered. And if they volunteered in the right spot, we let them go. And now we have a nice hedge of desert willow.
Can you talk about some of the challenges that you face out here on the prairie top?
Well, living on the hill, of course, is nice. You have a nice view. But the wind events that we have here in central Oklahoma can be horrendous, and you can have some plants doing very well, 4 or 5 foot bushes, and a microburst will come through and just snap them in half. So you deal with that. These yellow Cestrum do real well, and they come back well, but as you might see, we have some cages around them because they've been snapped, but if you give them a little support, they'll come back. But that's just one of the things you deal with the wind.
And can you tell me a little bit about the design of this structure?
Well, we wanted raised beds because you still have a lot of critter problems out here. You have gophers and the deer, and of course the weeding. Raised gardens are easier to maintain. And so I started out with the asparagus bed here. It's about 30 feet long. And then each year I built another one. This was a tomato until we rotated them last year. And then green beans and strawberries and some peppers. And again, being on the hill, you can have a raised bed, but if the wind blows them down, it doesn't do you any good. So we put up fence around, and we have shade cloth all the way around, which allows us to at least attempt to have a vegetable garden.
And some airflow is good to help prevent diseases from spreading.
Being on top of the hill here, there's no trouble with airflow.
Well, it looks very good. I think there's one more area we would like to look at, and that's your shade garden, if you would like to take us there.
Yes, that'd be fun. There's a lot going on out there.
Okay. This is a beautiful shade garden. It's huge, and I want you to tell me a little about the history, about where it began and what all you have done to make it become this.
Well, when we first got here, this was just a grove of soapberries, And the old homestead left a lot of debris and old sheds in here, and so we had to clear all that out. That took actually a couple years. And then every year it would just grow with cheatgrass. It'd be 3-4 feet tall, nothing you could do about it. And I'd have to mow that. So of course, what better way to stop mowing is plant a garden.
Right.
And so we started at one end and amending the soil, just like on the south side. We had a lot of trouble with the red clay. And so we started planting some ground cover, some Vinca, which was aggressive enough to finally take off. We have some creeping Euonymus that's also a great ground cover. And then we started creating the beds. And again, more plumbago is a good ground cover. We have, we wanted some evergreens, so we had the yews. And then I wanted, again, more walkways, because I think they're good design and style without being too formal.
There's really some beautiful structures out here, and can you tell me a little bit about those?
Well, we completed this walkway circuit, so we wanted some additional interest. So I had a little raised wooden walkway there. And over a little bit further on, we have a Japanese bridge that I built with a wooden boardwalk. We're going to continue to do more and more of that throughout the garden here.
I really appreciate you taking me around. This is beautiful. It's huge.
We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.